Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me on a weekday. Something different this week again. Obviously, I did an interview chat with my friend Mark Baber a couple of weeks back on a Wednesday. We're throwing in a mix here. We've got Kirk Nelson coming in on a Thursday. But I couldn't not do it. Sundays weren't good, and there's no way we're not getting Kirk on. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my friend Kirk with you. He is definitely somebody who thinks outside the box, incredibly creative. And I can't wait for you to see some of the stuff that we're going to go through. Kirk's going to take you through some layers in Photoshop to show you how he puts stuff together. So a lot of learning going to go on tonight, I reckon. Oh, and I suppose I should ask as well, can you hear me? Can you put that up in the comments section? Put in there that you can see the countdown, you can hear me. First mistake of the night, wasn't it? Alrighty, we're live. It's Thursday evening here in the UK, but obviously there's people from all over the place. So it's morning, afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. But wherever you are, thank you so much for joining me for this kind of change to the schedule. Thank you so much for joining me. Great to see some familiar names in the chat room already. Got a great one for you tonight. This is somebody who I've wanted to ask to come on here for quite some time. And then I saw him on the grid with Scott Kelby a couple of weeks back. I thought, now's the time I need to get in touch with Kirk. So thankfully, when I messaged him to say, would he come on, he agreed. And I'm really pleased with some of the stuff that we're going to be going through. He's going to be talking about some of his pictures, because you wait till you see them. You wait till you see some of the creativity that goes in this. It is totally out of the box. And he's going to go through some layers. We're going to get to see his screen. So there's going to be quite a lot of learning tonight. It's going to be interesting to kind of get into his head, see where it gets all the ideas from. But before we do that, let's just have a quick bit of admin. First things to let you know, obviously the weeks are going by now. It's not that long. We're now in the month when we have the next Photoshop Creativity Virtual Summit. So as you can see there, you can actually get your free pass so that you can watch all of the classes there for 48 hours from the moment that they are released. And if you want to get it, I'm going to give you another link later on. But there's a link that you can use to get your free pass. So make sure that you do that. And obviously, I'll put that into the description part of the video and also in the blog post tomorrow, along with all the stuff that Kirk's going to share with us today. What else have I got to tell you about? Oh, yeah, I did a new video. A new pre-recorded video is over on my YouTube channel. This one here, nice simple thumbnail that I created there. But basically, it's a video where I'm going through AI and older technology that we have in Photoshop. Because a lot of times, well, there's Kirk. You don't want to see Kirk just yet, do you? Oh, there we go. Now you know what he looks like. The AI side of things is basically where so many times now we get thinking, right, I want to do that. I'll jump and use content aware or whatever. Whereas before we used to think that, but now we think of having generative fill and all those things that we can use. But so many times you'll probably come across things where it doesn't necessarily give you the result that you want. And in those menus in Photoshop, deep down, there's some technology we've had for quite a while that is incredibly powerful. So I go into something called content-aware scale, which I used on this image, the final image there, when I actually did the recent picture of that one, the recent composite. It works so well, this content-aware scale, when I wanted to make the actual picture wider. So I've done that, and there's also a few extra little things in there to learn as well. The other little thing to let you know about was subscribe. Just click on the subscribe button if you haven't already. It should say follow. We should put a petition together to tell YouTube, don't say subscribe, because people think they're paying. Just follow. That's all it needs to be. Just like on social media, you know, Facebooks and all that kind of stuff. But now, it's not going to be a surprise what he looks like now, is it? Although he was on the thumbnail of the countdown, so you know what he looks like anyway. But listen, let's get Kirk in. But before I do, I asked Kirk to send over some pictures, which he did. So many different pictures. And I've put together a promo slideshow. He hasn't seen it yet, so I'm going to be looking at the corner of my eye to see if I'm getting any reading the body language incorrectly. Hope he likes it. Just to show you some of the work that he does. We'll get him in, and then we'll get up and running. I want to learn about what he does and how he does it and why he does it. All right, but before we do that, let's play Kirk's promo. How cool is that? What a variety of images, but some of them in there. I don't know if you spotted one. One of the ones I want to ask him about. Do you see that smoke thing? I'm showing my age now, but I said this to Kirk earlier in the week. It reminds me of something like Jason and the Argonauts, those skeletons that they used to have running around with. I don't know, maybe I was drinking something when I saw the picture the first time, but hey, let's not waste any more time. Let's unmute him so I can see that's working.
Ah!
And now let's bring him in. Kirk, hello, mate.
Hello. Thank you so much. I've never been introduced so extravagantly before. I'm like, it's just me.
What's it? I mean, obviously there then, by you saying that, have you never seen your images put to music or anything like before, other than you doing it yourself, maybe?
Other than me doing it myself, and I'm always hypercritical of my own stuff. So to have somebody else put it together like that, I was like, oh, wow, that looks pretty good.
Well, there you go. That's it. You see, this is exactly what Russell Preston Brown said when I did it for him.
Yeah.
That when he saw his own images worked on by somebody else into a slideshow with some music, it was like, oh my God, and I say this quite often, but his reaction was, damn, I'm good.
Hey, I kind of know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So that's good to know. It's really good to know. I can see my friend Jean-Francois in the chat as well. He's really into that, putting his own pictures into music and stuff like that. So I've got to get Jean-Francois on. So Jean-Francois, we will speak, and I'll get you on because I want to go through some stuff with you. But Kirk, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you.
Like I said, pleasure. I've been wanting to get you on here for quite a long time. And
you should have reached out earlier.
I know I should have done, but it was when we started doing these Dave Cross Creativity Summits that I really started to take attention to you, because I watch your classes at the summits. I watch them because there's always.
Well, I watch yours too.
So. Oh, well, there you go. But it just reminds me the way you are, because you're incredibly enthusiastic about what you do, but the way you're always looking for new ways of doing things and experimenting, it just reminds me so much of that excitement that I had when I first started. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you've still got that, which I love. Yeah. I really do love that. So I'm really glad that you're here to do this. But listen, we're gonna go through some. I know that there's 3 images that you've said we'll go through these. You're gonna share your screen and show people sort of some behind the scenes, if you like. Yeah. But before we get into that, what I want to do is what I do with everybody when we get on, is just to kind of get ourselves warmed up a little bit, and I will learn something now. I want to know. What got you to doing what you're doing now? Can you give us a potted history, if you like?
Sure.
Of how you ended up doing what you're doing now.
Sure. Okay. So that takes me back to when I was back in university. This is late 90s. So I'm really kind of aging myself here. This is back when, and back then, like Pixar was in its infancy. You see my little other side, Buzz Lightyear here. That's just sort of an homage, because that's when Pixar was just starting, and all of us young guys back then was like, what is this CGI computer generated stuff? And so I went to class. I went to school to try to learn that. Now, and this was in Central Florida, so right outside of Disney. Now, wisely, the people who structured the program said, okay, we know you guys all want to learn this fun new computer stuff, but we're going to put that inside of a filmmaking track. And we all were like, oh, that's not what I want to do, because, we're young guys and we just want to do. But I took a class there that they taught us the traditional methods of creating effects practically for movies. And it just changed the way I thought. It was like they were showing us the tips and tricks of how to create special effects without a computer, which is practical stuff. So we did an in-depth thesis analyzing how they did the tornado in The Wizard of Oz. Now think about that. You know how old The Wizard of Oz is. That film predates any type of computer-generated imagery. They didn't go and get an actual tornado, right? They had to find a way to make it look like it was a real tornado. And just digging through the creativity of those guys that went before us, and just what they would go through to get a visual effect without anybody even knowing the word pixel, right? All on film, all on just actual film, and doing it practically. It stuck with me forever. It just stuck with me forever. And then now later on in my career, I'm, getting deeper and deeper in photography, and I'm just like, hey, if I want somebody holding a ball that's on fire, yeah, okay, I could probably do that digitally, which I've done.
Hmm.
Or we could find a practical way to do it safely, which I've done. Or we could merge both of them together, which I've also done. And to me, it's that discovery of finding new and fun ways to get really, really interesting and cool effects in my camera and composite it afterwards. And just every tool that I have at my disposal, I want to use to just fulfill that kind of that creative image that I have and just see
Uh-huh.
what I can do with it, just to kind of play around with stuff like that. And so,
Sure.
yeah, that's what drives me so often is I'll come across some effect that somebody's doing, using a light or a piece of glass or a mirror or some other chemical element or something. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey, I bet I could use that to do this, to then do that, to
All
then
right.
make this whole
Okay.
thing.
Okay. So let's just stop there then. So there's got to be
Yeah,
something that makes something in your head go, "Hey, I could X,
yeah.
Y, Z that." There's got to be something there. Now, what I want to find out is where does that come from? So
Mm,
one thing I'm always interested in with people is where does their inspiration and ideas come from? So for you, are you somebody who is are you a big film buff? Are you into any
yeah.
kind of like cartoon work or any
Mm,
what kind of things are you really into, which may, without you knowing it, be planting this kind of stuff into your
sure.
head, which then makes you go, "Hey, I could do this," and what have you?
Sure, sure. So yeah, I am a film buff because I mean I went to film school and I do like animation, so the animated features and stuff. And now I've also got a bunch of kids, so I've seen like all the animated stuff anyway. And instead of
Yeah,
watching the story, a lot of times I'm looking at like the techniques of how they
right.
did stuff. And I do like a lot of the effects and everything. But the sort of secret sauce to that, Glenn, and this isn't probably going to be a popular notion, but I'm a big proponent of just unplugging because we all take so much content internally
Oh
so
yeah.
much during our days that I find for me, and I recommend it for everybody, take some time every day, just cut it off, completely unplug, shut down your phone, shut your laptop, go for a walk without even
Yeah.
having conversations with anybody, just alone in your own thoughts, and just sort of let your mind relax, be present in the world around you, and don't. My temptation is to go and I'm start like rehearsing conversations. Oh, I should have said that. No, 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 no. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Intentionally be present in the world around you. Like when I walk the dog, I love podcasts, I love music, I love videos, I love all that. By some point at every day, I'll just shut it all off, be still, and just be
I get
present in
that.
the world and just
It's do you know,
observe.
it's kind of bizarre that you say that now because was it last week? Last week I went over to Germany because I caught up with a friend of mine, which I hadn't seen for. We worked it out. It was 10 years, and some people watching this will remember his name. I'm sure Calvin Hollywood, who was
Oh
an
yeah,
incredible digital artist, just wonderful, wonderful
yeah.
guy, and a great entertainer. Lovely, lovely fella. And he's moved away from the whole
Hmm.
kind of photography,
Yeah,
Photoshop world, and he's doing other things, and he's incredibly successful at it. But when
good
I
for
met up
him.
with him, yeah, it was lovely to see. When we spent some time together, it was just so good. But one of the things he was telling me about was how he has changed the way he is, and he was explaining that before there was the old Calvin, and now there's the new Calvin, and a big part of what the new Calvin does, and I would say this really contributes to the success that he's now having in his chosen field, is because he does exactly that. He takes
Hmm.
time out and he does this every day. He doesn't call it his meditation, he doesn't call it that, but he does completely have some time out, switches
Yeah,
off, and just me time. Do you know what I mean? Because you're right. We're aware of social media and stuff
we
like
are.
that that's going to be impacting us. I mean, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for years because we call it a depression session. It's just not good. But
Right.
there's things that will be affecting you anyway. But what you're doing, taking time out, what Calvin's doing, clearly there's a benefit. Do you know what I
So
mean?
what it
So
does though is it allows all that stuff that you've internalized to kind of percolate. Lets your
yeah,
mind sort of relax because it's not absorb it's not trying to process input constantly. And it gives it time to kind of process the stuff that you've seen and heard and just observed, and that's where my best ideas come from is those moments of just quietness and just letting my
okay,
mind wander and relax and just be present in my world around me. and I'll start thinking, I'll start going, hey, I remember when that guy was using that light that way. That was really cool. That was neat when he was doing that. I wonder if he changed this little aspect of it and changed the camera to, wonder what that would look like. You know what? I'm gonna go
Mm,
try that. I'm gonna find that thing and try that with my camera and see what happens.
mm.
And just it sparks that exploration. And it is that exploration that I find so exciting. It's what drives me in my creative endeavors and everything. Just
Yeah, yeah.
exploring new ideas like that. And it's just fun.
Now you're very much somebody who is equally skilled in both the photography side of things and
Mm,
also the retouching side of things. Do you know what I mean? The two
mm,
go very much hand
it
in hand with the kind of stuff that you
does.
do. So I'm intrigued as well then. I know you said you went to film school and what have you, but where did you learn, first of all, let's say the photography, where did you learn
Mm,
lighting? Was that the film school or was it elsewhere? And then I want to find out, because I think in the States it's different to here, certainly in the UK. I think you correct me if I'm wrong here, but is Photoshop part of the curriculum when you're a student? Does it form
mm,
part of the, do you use
right.
Photoshop at school and stuff like that? Is what I'm asking, I guess. So first of all,
Yeah.
where did you learn the photography side of things? Where did that all come from?
So actually, it was the other way. I started my career after doing an animation track in film school. I was just a graphic designer. That was my first job, was
Right.
graphic design, and then it grew from that because I started to do more things with graphic design, and I needed photographs to support the things and the ideas that I wanted to do graphically, and so I would just depend on like stock images. And often I would find that I didn't like the stock images I could find, that they were insufficient. And so then I was like, well, I'm just going to have to go and do this myself then, I guess.
Mm.
And so then I picked up the camera and started researching that and learning from everything that I could about lighting and how to shoot in manual mode. If you're if you're a starting photographer, I'm telling you, turn that dial to M and rip it off. Just
Yeah.
leave it on manual. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt bad. But once you learn how to do it, you'll never go back.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and so once I learned how to do that, and then I could just merge the two together, I was happy. I was like, hey, this is so much fun. The next step from that was like, I want to start teaching others how to do this so they can join me in this incredible, ridiculous adventures that I'm having and creating silly images.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know, I've got to put this comment up before she deletes it. But Judy, that's how I learned Photoshop. When my son was in school, he made a special copy. Oops, did I really say that? Judy, do you know what? I think all of us, if we're honest, way
Yeah,
down the line, we all had a copy. And Adobe know it. They know it.
yeah,
And they haven't
yeah.
suffered. They really haven't suffered at all. But
Right. But to answer your
yeah,
question, currently, yes, Photoshop is included in the curriculum here in the States, but they're
right.
about 3 versions behind. For
Okay.
some reason, universities don't tend to stay current with the technology, and so it's a lot of bureaucracy and being able to update the stuff. At least the last time I looked into any university curriculum, they're a little bit behind the current.
Okay. So when it comes to the learning side of it, then,
Mhm.
I'm guessing from what you say there, you definitely dabbled with it when you were at school, but where did the
Yep.
real kind of knowledge come from? What are you somebody who is self-taught? I mean, I don't know if can we call it self-taught because example of somebody who
Aren't we
just
all? Yeah,
digested books and magazines and
sure.
classes and stuff like that. So is that kind of what your history is with it?
So the majority of it is yes, especially on the photography side. I did the same thing. I took every single thing I could possibly find to learn from, and it was like when I looked in photography classes, I was like, well, what book are they using? And then I would just
Yeah,
go buy the book and then work through the
yeah,
book, right? And it was like, well, it's the same knowledge. And they're like, well, you don't have the certification. No, but I got these pictures that look really good.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I loved it when I first got an iPad because before then I'd be ordering book after book after book, and they'd turn
right,
up. And my wife,
stacks.
is, my wife's amazing. She just lets me do whatever, when it comes to this kind of stuff. Just in the early days, do what you need to do, get what you need to get. But I was taking a little bit too far the amount of books I was getting. So every day the
Yeah,
Amazon guy was delivering a book. But when I got the iPad, I could just
and
sit
nobody
there and
knows.
yeah, and I'm reading away. Do you know what I mean? So
No
I
one
had another
knows.
shelf within my iPad, which was pretty cool. Hope she's not listening at the door there. But cool. All right. Well, I've got those. There's other little things I wanted to ask you. I primed you before we went live, just so we'll come to
Yep.
those at the very, very end. But I
Good.
think let's just dive in. Let's dive in and have a look at some images. I've been showing some images up as you've been talking as well, but there's
Sure.
ones in particular that you said would be good to show
Yep.
and what have you. And you've also done us a huge favor. There's a little thing which I'll let people know about in a short while. But let me
Sure.
bring up the first image.
Yep.
I've got to ask you about that other one as well. In fact, no, hold on a second. Before we do anything, right? Just help me out here.
Yep.
How do you do that? What is it? How did you do it? I love it.
So that's very similar to the concept of actually tracing. So I had an image of a dancer that was sort of in that pose, and then I took several images of sort of a match in the studio that you just blow it out and you let the smoke come off, and just clicked several of those images, and then put them together, superimposed that dancer on there, and just traced around the major lines using the curls of smoke. And that you can manipulate it like with Puppet Warp or even just the regular warp tool in Photoshop, and added a little bit of colorization to it, and then took out the picture of the dancer and was left with just the smoke to it. It's fun stuff.
That's so cool. Do you know what I mean? And the way you explain it there, we'd all do it different ways, I'm sure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you very, very simple, methodical kind of way of doing it. And it usually is, isn't it? The most successful images and things that we do really are the most simplest. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be overcomplicated or anything, but that is a really cool image. That's the one that made me think of the Jason
The Argonauts, right?
Did you know when I say it? Do you know, I'm not
I
talking
understand what you're saying. I never heard it described that way or thought of it, but it completely applies. Yes.
I think it was because it was like the see-through elements, the white and stuff, and the way those skeletons used to just, I mean, that was proper special effects there, wasn't it? Talking to the Wizard of Oz thing, that was really special effects there, my lord. All right, let's dive in then. Let's bring this up. So the first one that you said would be a good talk about, I'm intrigued about this one here, is this one here. You call it River Wings of Light. That's the one that I used for the thumbnail, for your promo, for your countdown. So before we get into seeing some stuff that you want to share your screen on, what can you tell us about this? I'm intrigued where the idea came from, first of all.
Okay, so this was an entry into my series, what I just call Wings, which is just, I don't know why, to me, it's really fascinating to create synthetic or digital wings for models. That's sort of part of this. You'll see several other entries within my portfolio that fall into that same category. And what I want everybody to know is all the effects of these wings were completely done in camera. Now these weren't all in the same shot. They are composited together, but there's none of those effects were, drawn inside of Photoshop or Illustrator or anything. Those were all captured with my camera and light painting techniques and effects. In fact, the little edges around the far points of the wings there, those are sparklers. Those are those those sparklers you see on the weddings or here in the States, 4th of July. I put those inside a long tube that lights up to create the other effects, and set the camera on a long exposure. I think it was like 6 or 8 seconds or something, and my assistant's out there all dressed in black in the middle of a river and just spinning this sparkler around. And I'm getting these really cool effects from it. And then I was able to easily isolate those in Photoshop and composite them in. And that's really the technique that I did just again and again and again to create all those effects to then just, put together into a single image that I really enjoy.
Absolutely, yeah. So have you got something that you wanted to show on your screen for that, have you?
Sure. Let me. Okay, so can you
so let me know
see the
when
screen?
I'll share your screen. All right. Okay, I'll dive over right now. We can see your screen. All righty.
Just you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through some of the layering that we went with to do this. In fact, I will show you the original photo that came right from my camera. That's the base photo, right? Which is pretty cool in itself, right? But it was like, okay, that's what I got. But my vision for it was so much more spectacular. Now to do this, it does take some effort. This was, I think, like a 10-second exposure, maybe. No, it was probably less than that. It was probably about 5 seconds. That's irrelevant. Anyway, because we're out here on a river at night, and that model has to hold that pose perfectly statuesque for however long the shutter is open. And then my assistant, who is my daughter and also nice and small, that she can literally like kind of hide behind models. I can't. I'm much larger than most of them. So she can be back there and she's twirling around this light stick from the light painting store with 𝐅𝐫𝐿. If you're not familiar with his work, take a moment to look that up. He's absolutely fantastic doing this stuff. And I captured that, and then I captured another one, and then another one, and then another one, and just ended up putting them all together. So I just want to go through some of the layers here really quickly.
Sure, yeah.
I did some work with the background first. Okay, now this is a synthetic background that was probably created using a generative fill, just because the woods back here didn't quite have the same effect that I wanted.
No.
Instead, I wanted something a little bit more dramatic like that. And it could be blurry, it doesn't have to be super detailed, because it is just the background, right? But you can see the multiple various layers building up to that. Let's just maybe go through quickly. So there was first, removing the model from it. Oh, this was me adding in the reflection so it looks actually real. And yeah, that's the part that was just generated. Then added in part of the mountain that I didn't like and wanted to fix. Some other parts of it there, getting all super picky with it until I ended up, and then with this for the background. That's not nearly as interesting as what's coming though. Because next was the wings. And that's where I added all these in. Now, this is what gets fun, right? So first, like here's just one of them. See, that's just that.
Okay.
Right? And it's literally just adding more and more of those things. Now, these are smart objects, so I can open these up, and you can see that's literally all that is. You can see the profile of my assistant as she was doing the sweep with the light element there.
Yeah.
That then I, painted out, saved that in. I'm not going to save it now, but now, and it is, I should point out, the magic of blending modes that make these work. Because that's what makes that light blend in like that. Because if you just put it on normal here, pop that opacity up, that's not going to look nearly as good because you can't see through it. And to try to mask that out, yeah, you could do that. But why when we have these magical blending modes that work so well? And again, this was created in studio. It wasn't out there on the river. This was during one of the studio shots, the same thing. This was a fantastic element. It was like a light whip that just a little loose piece of plastic hose, maybe this long and maybe that big around, that plugs into the end of a flashlight and lights up the entire whip. And we just did the same thing, long exposure, whip that thing around in various patterns and stuff, and captured that to then layer that in.
And what kind of time, from when you're doing this, Kirk, how long are you doing this in one sitting, or do you come back to it? And how long would you say in total it took you?
That's a great question. I usually do come back to them multiple times, because I'll do principal photography, as I call it. That's usually with the model, and then the first effects to kind of go through, and I'll put those together and be like, this looks good, but I think we could get something a little bit more, something a little bit, added spice to it. And so then usually I'll have to go back out to like a studio and just do what I call pickup shots, just some additional little extra added effects to then merge those in. And that's what really creates the magic to it.
Right.
So these are the light wings. You can see the top and bottom one, and it's just lots and lots of individual layers. See, these are the sparklers that did on those.
Yeah, the edges,
Yeah. And these get deep, and just I start layering things over again on top of again. And again, the magic of the blending modes is what really makes all of this work, until that all comes in together into this big, brilliant sort of splash of light. And then the model is just here. It's the same picture of the model from before, but just masked out. And a little bit of color correction added to it. And then, the color lookup tables, just to pop that up a little bit there. And that's all there is to it. It's
wow. That's
seriously, this is the type of thing, though. that is so much fun to do. And yeah, it is a lot of work, but it's kind of a labor of love because I don't really consider it work. It's so much fun and it's so personal and rewarding to get results like this from just being out playing around with silly equipment. I mean,
And
we'll be out in the field sometimes doing stuff, and I'll get friends or family to come by, and they're like, "Kirk, what are you doing?" And
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
"I'm working." They're like, "No, you're not." I'm like, I am.
yeah. So
I
this
managed to
is,
get paid for this.
you said about the Wings project. This is a personal project. Is that what you're saying then? So this is just something that you're doing to keep you in that zone and always
So
pushing yourself and whatever.
I'm because I'm able to participate in things like the Photoshop summits and the creativity summits or classes at places like Kelby One. What I do is I'll have these inspirational ideas for projects, and I'll kind of save them for when I can do one
Right.
of these events, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, I love doing it, and I would probably do it anyways. But why not share this with others who want to learn how to do it and can join in on the
Absolutely.
fun after they see it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a great result. I love it. I mean, it's like
Thank you.
David's just put here. Let's just bring this comment up here. David's put really cool stuff, Kirk. Thanks for sharing all of this. And I don't know if you saw, but right at the start as well, Judy put in, this is a really cool image. So,
Thanks.
so yeah, lovely stuff. Really, and yeah, it is very generous that you're willing to share your layers and stuff because I'm sure
Sure.
you've encountered it, and I'm sure everybody in the chat has as well at some point where people just have this kind of like, no, I can't possibly share. Do you know what I mean? Can't
Oh,
possibly. But
no,
I
it's
love the
fine.
fact that the people I know and I'm friends with yourself, you're happy to share it, which I think is
Absolutely.
what makes this school
It,
good, isn't it?
in fact, if I could mention it now, I took all the layers to create these wings and put them into a single file that's up on my shop that you guys can and go and find that there. And it's every
Okay.
single effects layer that I put into this.
Oh, in fact, well, yes. Hold on a sec. In fact, I'm going to bring that up now. I'm going to come
Okay.
over to the. Let me bring up my screen just here. So
Okay.
this is your website, right? This is
I'm
Pixel
going to
Pro, pixelpro.com, the Pixel Pro. I'll put all the details in the link and everything like that. But
yeah.
these here is the
Yeah.
actual overlay
Yeah.
effects that you've got there as well. So there's other ones as well. We'll come to those in a second. But I know one thing you have done, because we're going to go through another image now. But what you've also done, let me find my thing here, folks. Just so that you know, this is generous chap. This code here, Friends of Glyn, which you all are. If you use that code over on Kirk's website, Kirk, you've done 50% off, right? 50% off on all the
50%
stuff
off
that you.
anything, any single item in my shop.
And when you look at the stuff that's in the shop, we'll show you some more in a minute. I mean, the price of that full price is $12. So you're looking at paying $6 to get some really cool stuff.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, that is incredibly generous of you, mate. So thank you.
Thank you. Happy to do it.
Right. Next image. This is one that I actually highlighted anyway because I wanted to find out about it. Let me
I
bring
thought
up
so.
the image first of all, and I want to hear about a little bit of a backstory, and then you can. Oh, in fact, there's a video to show as well, isn't there? Yeah.
You do.
Right. Let's just bring this one up here. There's the image, and you call that one Electric Valkyrie.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit of a story behind this one then. Where on earth did the idea for this come from? Obviously, it's to do with the Wings project.
It has to do with the Wings project, yes. So there's a couple things that went into this. I had you'll see this model in a lot of my work. This is Liz Nicole. We've become good friends over time because she makes all her own gear as far as costumes and everything. So like everything that you see that she's wearing, she makes that and crafts that herself. And she's an incredible, wonderful person. And I had this thought for my Wings project that I was like, what if I made like a Valkyrie that had like electric spark wings? And I was
Yeah.
like, how am I going to do that? So I call up Liz. And I'm like, hey Liz, I'm thinking like electric Valkyrie. I kid you not, Glenn. She was like, say no more. I got you. That was it.
Wow,
Yes.
she is on your wavelength, huh?
Right. She was
Yeah.
like, so anytime I have any crazy wild idea that may or may not work, she's my go-to on that because she's always all in. She's always like, yeah, let's try this. Let's see if this works. This sounds like so much fun. And I knew she was going to have the gear for it. I wasn't going to have to worry about like her armor, her swords. I knew
Brilliant.
Liz has got that taken care of. She's super creative on that side. She's got that. All I had to worry about was the photography and the effects. So This is one. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
I'm going to
ahead.
play it. I'm going to play it now. You
Okay.
read my mind. All right, let's just play this little video. This, folks, this is a video that Kirk sent over showing like the behind the scenes, which I presume was a reel that you'd shared on Instagram originally,
Yes.
maybe. But this shows
Yes.
the behind the scenes. And I was fascinated at how you did the sparks. Really cool.
Yeah.
Right, let's just play that right now. It's so cool. Who is that? Your daughter again?
It is. It is. She's my little
No,
assistant.
I'm going to call 𝐷𝐷𝐼. That's not. That's abuse.
She has as much fun with this as I do. And you'll see her again in some upcoming behind the scenes clips in my next project too.
Poor
I've gotten
girl.
so dependent on her for this. I could hardly do this without her now. When she grows up and moves completely out, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Oh well, I tell you what, she's going to be doing her own, mate. She's got all these ideas
I hope
coming from
so.
you.
I hope so.
Absolutely, yeah.
So those sparks were a callback to what I mentioned before, learning how to do practical effects. And
Mhm.
it's literally steel wool inside of a whisk, just a regular kitchen whisk. And then you add a little bit of, just a 9-volt battery to that steel wool, and it ignites. It doesn't get into a big flaming fireball, but it just starts sparking, like sort of
Yeah.
embers inside there. And when you start whipping that around, those sparks fly out from the centrifugal force of it. And so you just got to get the camera set. Again, long exposure on that. And once you start trying that, you have so much fun. Be careful, folks, if you do this, though. We did set some grass on fire accidentally.
Oh
So,
right. Okay.
so
That's
be
probably because
careful.
it's dry where you are. I think in the UK
It
we could
was.
do that and nothing would get
I mean,
burned on the ground.
it was just a little bit of smoldering. We just stomped it out. It didn't cause an issue or anything, but it goes further than you think, because you start
Yes,
whipping that around
yeah.
and those sparks can really fly. And so, but
Absolutely,
it
yeah.
was so much fun. It
Yeah,
was
it
really,
looked it.
really
It did
fun.
look it. I mean, people here are loving it as well because let's
Good.
bring up a couple of the couple of these things just here. Look, we've got my friend Lee Churchill has put, yes, wire wool spinning, love doing this.
Yes, it's so
I mean, that,
fun.
Lee, I didn't know you did that. Gary's put, thank you, great presentation and inspirational. Love your work, which is really nice to see. And John has put, that was very cool. Great colours too. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very, very vibrant. Yeah, I like that. I like the colours in the other one as well. The River Wings of Light. All that
Mhm.
different colour was really, really cool. So yeah, like it. But just a reminder for folks that I'll bring that thing up again here. Friends of Glyn. There we go. Offer ends
Right.
on the 13th of March. But that one there, you've got the so what have I showed already? You got that one was from the River
That's from the River
Wings
Wings,
of
right?
Light. Yeah, and then we've also got now, look, you got the Sparks one in here as well. We've got these high quality spark. You got the overlays and the brushes. So
Right.
there's a lot of stuff in there. And these again, look, $14.99 full price and $10 full price. So it's very
Not
generous
bad.
of it. And Lee's put that in the chat as well. Very generous of you when you're selling at those
Thank you.
prices to even give 50% off. So mate, that's very generous of you.
Thank you.
Was there anything else you wanted to show about that, or should we have a quick break and then we want to talk about what you've got coming up, which is a new image?
Yeah, let's have a break, because I'm excited about this last one. Nobody's seen it yet. I'm going to reveal it live here on your show.
I haven't
You
seen
and your
it.
audience will be
God,
the
no.
first ones to see it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna mute you for a second. I'll play an ad break and then we'll come back in and then we'll get to see this behind the scenes. All right. So
Yeah.
see you in a mo. How cool. I told you, creative, outside the box. Do you know what I mean? But it makes you, what I love is it's thinking outside the box. It's being creative, but it's this enthusiasm. Do you know what I mean? I love that. It makes you want to get out and do stuff. I mean, it's too late now here, but I now want to get my camera. Do you know what I mean? But let's play a quick ad. Hopefully, those of you regular viewers, you'll know that this one sometimes doesn't. This one doesn't sometimes play from the start. So fingers crossed it will. play this, then we're going to come back and get an exclusive look at Kirk's new work that he's done for the upcoming Creativity Virtual Summit. So here we go. Now this is how to print. The ultimate guide to consistently achieving the perfect print. At nearly 3 years in the making, How to Print is packed with content covering everything you would need to know. Hardware choices, how to correctly calibrate your display, how to check that your printer is even working correctly because the problems you may be having might not be something you're doing. Produce stunning black and white prints, colour prints that come alive on the paper. Understanding colour space, resizing images, how to sharpen your images specifically for printing, how to correctly soft-proof so no more wasted money on ink and paper, how to choose the right paper for the right image, printing with different software choices, if you send image files to a lab for printing, How to Print has that covered too. There's interviews with industry professionals and even how to display your images. How to Print has got it all. And when you enroll, you also get lifetime updates, making sure How to Print is the go-to guide for achieving the perfect print. Very, very happy with that. You can probably tell by my beaming smile, but that looks fantastic. My beaming smile. What was I like? Talking of beaming smile, look at this. Look, this is one I did. We had the iPhone photography conference this week, and I did a class showing how I'm photographing cars. But I did that. Look, that there. Look, that's printed out. That's an iPhone print. You know, amazing. iPhone print, iPhone photograph, which I'm now going to call. I took that picture with my Apple camera. I'm really happy with that. So there you go. Right. Oh yeah. And by the way, I played that video because today, or in fact yesterday, but I only announced it today, signed the contract for the How to Print book, which will be, if the schedule's okay, be out in December. So very, very happy with that. But let's just bring Kirk back in. I've unmuted him. And here he is. Right then, come on you. No more delaying.
All right.
Let's go to tell us about this new thing then. This is for the Photoshop Creativity Summit. Come on then.
Yes. I'm excited about this one, if you can't tell. So again, one of my inspirations for this, again, during one of my walkabouts where I'm just kind of clearing my head, was what would it look like if it rained starlight? If it, like, not just shooting stars, but like if it was rain made out of starlight, right? So, and I just started thinking through that and looking through stuff. And what really clicked in for me was I saw this product on Amazon. Guys, Glenn, look at this, look at this, look at this. You see this? This is a tiny little ball, but you pull this tab, it's an LED light.
What?
About the size of a small marble. Okay. You can get these on Amazon for about $10 for about 100 of them. I ordered 500 just because I was like, I've got so much I can do with that. So I ordered a whole bunch of these, right? I also got me one of these silly clear umbrellas.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
You can see where this is going. I took some LED strips and lined them on that umbrella. Called up my girl Liz and was like, Liz, I want to make it rain starlight. And she's like, you're doing what?
This is Valkyrie Liz, right? This is Valkyrie Liz.
Valkyrie Liz, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this is going to work. I'm like, I'm going to try it though. And she's all in. Now, mind you, I sent her some ideas, some concept art and stuff that I'd gotten. And I have to say, so my vision for it was a young woman in a long, like wispy red gown on a stairwell holding this neonish umbrella, and it's just blue starlight raining all over around her. Right. So you can start to see it, right? You can kind of get it in there. Now, mind you, when I shot this, it was like 40 degrees here, and okay, that's Fahrenheit. What is that for Celsius? I don't know. It's
probably like the hottest.
It's like 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, I think. So it was not warm. Right. But I'm asking her to wear this gown that's also not warm outside while we're doing this. And she was all in for it. She was fine. She brought this like wool cloak to wear, but between the shoots and everything. And I brought a little propane heater to make sure she was okay. And so we go out to this downtown area that had this really nice staircase after dark. and set her up and just start dropping these balls on the umbrella, and it rains down and starts cascading down the stairs. And okay, I want to try to
Oh
share some
man!
of the BTS
Right.
there if we can. Some
Let
of
me
the
know when I
behind the.
share your screen. Let me know.
All right, so let's go ahead. I
Okay.
want to make sure that it's going to show the little video clip and not necessarily the Photoshop interface. So let me see. Let me pull one of those up.
I'm intrigued. I really am now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when you're
Okay,
ready, and I'll share your screen.
all right. Can you see this little window that I have open that's not the
Yeah,
Photoshop
with a
one?
transparent. Yep, can see that.
Okay. No, not the transparent one, not the Photoshop one. Just there's the window on top of it. Can't.
No, all we've got is the Photoshop layers with a transparent rectangle.
Okay. So I don't think it's going to open there in Photoshop. Oh, anyway, I really would like you to see the way this works.
Oh, you're just
though,
teasing now.
It's really cool. Unfortunately, these MPEGs aren't going to open in Photoshop for reasons that I don't understand. It should.
Don't worry
Photoshop's
about it.
open.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, it's opened this stuff type before, but if I were to stop
Will it
sharing,
open
and
as a,
share,
will it open as a standalone video? Do you think?
it won't. Yeah, I can, but the screen share is capturing my Photoshop, not the window.
Right, okay. Right. Okay. No worries.
Okay.
Damn it.
Well. Oh.
Show us the image anyway.
I will show you. Well, okay. So I've described
go back
it
to
to
your
you.
screen. There we go.
All right. So you're on my screen. I've described to you what we were doing. So
Yep.
I'll show you. First of all, this is the plate shot. Okay. So this is basically the background shot that I used, and she's just sitting there. It was also a brilliant idea of hers to affix one of these little lighted balls to her earrings, right? And also to be holding one of them like that, so it looks like she's kind of catching the starlight as it fell.
Uh-huh.
All right. And so then as we dropped it over the umbrella, I wish I could show you the video, but this is what that looked like as we poured those little balls out
Wow.
onto the. Look at that, right? How cool is that? And then I was like, well, I really love that, but I also want it cascading well down the stairs. So I gave her like a cup of them while she's sitting on the stairs and just let her like pour them out over her own dress. And I love the way that came out. Look at that.
Yeah. God,
Right?
that is like a long exposure on a river, on like a little waterfall and stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So those are sort of the setup shots. I could probably drop those JPEGs. I'm sorry, the video files into you, and you can send them out later or something, because they're a lot of fun to see. Or if everybody signs up for the creativity conference, it's all part of the new class too. I'll show you all there.
Sneaky,
So,
like it.
a little
like
sizzle
it.
there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start going through this, because this is so much fun. Again, I've got all these layers set up here. All right. So that's the original one that you saw me. That's my plate shot.
Yeah.
Okay. I just started adding stuff in.
Kirk, I even just love the colouring in that there. It's just a lovely.
It's pretty,
colouring,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's some spice coming though, Glenn. There's some spice coming. You'll see. So getting all this together, filling stuff in. Now I know I'm going through this quick because, well, I want you to get to it. So this is why I start layering in those shots of the balls as they're bouncing and leaving those light streaks. Right. That's in what I call the stair fall part of it there. Right. Go in, and then we started adding some of these other ones in.
Look at that.
See how it's starting to build?
Yeah.
Let me zoom in a little bit on it so you can see it. And
I want whatever you've been smoking to do this kind of stuff, mate.
Oh, it's not hard. You just got to play. You just got to get out and start.
That is such a cool effect.
Look at that, though. Look at these colors.
I've never seen anybody do that ever.
So that's just the background work, right? And so from there, I was like, I really like the way that looks, but I had the thought of like, I love the way that red dress pops out against that blue starlight.
Totally.
What if when the light bounces off her dress, it changes to that red color too?
So it actually makes the scene look wet.
It does. So that's the final effect fully in there. I'm going to show you more of what I was bringing it in. So
Yeah, actually, there's a good. I'm going to bring it up in a minute, but John has put who picked the little balls up after the shoot.
Oh, I have a story when I'm done with that
All
because
right,
oh
okay.
my word. Oh my word. So, all right. So this is
That's
just adding
incredible.
in all these other little light effects, right?
How did you find these little LED ball things?
They were on Amazon
I
because
know, but
I'm
what even
always
made you
looking for
find
like
them to look for them?
so what they're intended for, Glenn, is they're supposed to go in balloons for parties. So you're
Right,
supposed to like pull that tab out, put it in a balloon, fill the balloon
right.
with helium, and then you float up and all the balloons are lit. And it's really cool. And that may show up in a future project. But I was like, what if we don't put them in a balloon and we just drop them over an umbrella instead?
Are
And
they like a
that's
one-time thing and that's it, or can you turn them off
so
again? Or
yeah, so it's got that little tab. So
yeah,
you can put the tab back in, but
that's a lot of tabs
but
to put back in, though, isn't it? 500 of them.
yeah. And I will tell you, okay, so here, this is the final effect.
Oh,
So I
that's
want you
your
to be able to
screen.
see.
There we go.
This is all here. For the little design nerds like me that are out there, I want to turn on this overlay here with the golden ratio. You see that?
Oh, right, yeah.
You see that? Yeah, that stuff does actually apply. So it does work. So, but yeah,
Well,
this is
blimey
the
do.
image that I'm going to be walking through in detail within my class in the conference. And this is me releasing it for the first time. Congratulations, guys. Thank you so much for seeing my
Yeah,
work.
no, so yeah, I've never seen it. I haven't even seen it up until this point. So obviously you didn't
No,
send
this
that
is it.
over, or that's
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, that is proper out of the box thinking. I mean, there's
Thank
the
you.
comments coming in. I've got to show you some of these here. Look,
Okay. Okay.
Judy's put, wow, sounds like the timing has to be perfect. What a whimsical idea. Love it. Lee put amazing effects. John, amazing. Jean-Francois, clever. David has put, in fact, here you go. David has
Yeah.
put, love that effect. Can't wait to see it at the virtual summit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, so cool. Kirk has such a vivid imagination. I want what he's got. Same here. Whatever it is, I want it. But yeah, just people love it. It's just this is
You.
what this is all about. Do you know what I
It
mean? It's
is.
like you have got such a unique way about you creating stuff like that.
Oh,
I have never seen anybody creating stuff like that.
oh,
It-
thank you.
and it's and what I love is you could give somebody the exact same stuff and they would
Mm.
all produce something completely different.
Something
That's what I
different.
love
And it's
about
all
this.
theirs and it's fine. It's good. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
So you
Well,
asked about the
who
little
was it?
balls, like who picked it up, right?
Yeah,
So I will
yeah.
say
John put
that
that here. I'll bring up John's comment just here. John put who picked balls up
so
after the
these
shoot.
balls will stay lit for many days after you pull that tab. So it's,
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
I still have a bucket in my garage that's glowing because they're full of these silly little balls. Okay. So what I did not expect is they are made from little cheap plastic. Okay. We were dropping them off that umbrella onto concrete stairs.
Oh right.
A
Okay.
lot of
I
them
know where this is
shattered.
going. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
them broke. So there was a lot of cleanup. You could probably see I used some of my photography lights and everything. For the photographers out there, I used rear curtain sync on the flashes so that at the end of that long exposure, we would get that pop of flash so it would illuminate Liz in her gown so you could actually see her. So after the shoot, I turned all those flashes with the modeling light on and I turned them in onto the concrete so we could then sweep up all
Right.
these little bit because it was dark. It was the middle of the night while we were out there doing that. And yeah, it took a long time for us to clean up after ourselves. But I mean, the ones that bounced around wasn't. I mean, they're lit. You can see them easily, and you can just run over and pick it up. It's the ones that shattered that was harder to find and clean up after ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's my story there. That they're
Wow.
not intended to drop on
Incredible.
concrete.
I'll just show your screen one more time just to show that picture there. So let's just dive onto it. Oh, that's you. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah,
That's really clever. I mean,
thank you.
I love how you actually make the staircase look wet by having
Yeah,
that red light on there. That for me is like the finishing touch for that. I think without it, you wouldn't think that the ground was wet,
right.
supposedly from all that light coming down. That's really clever.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really clever stuff. Nice one, mate. And that's on the virtual summit. Talking of which, let me bring up this here. This is your
That's
creativity,
mine.
your link for
It's
people
my
to be able
link.
to get a for people to get the free pass, and also details about the VIP pass as well. So I'll put all those into the description part of the video. I explained to you in the
Nice.
week, I can't put much in the description before we go live because YouTube see
Right.
this, all this stuff in the description. I think you're trying to spam people.
Right.
But so I put that in once the recording's up, and also in the blog post again tomorrow as well. But that's incredible stuff. I mean, just those three, I could keep on going, but I told you the hour would go quick. We're already an hour. Amazing how quick it goes.
It's crazy.
But I could spend a whole evening just going through, picking all these different images to say, how'd you do that? What was you thinking there? What did you do there? We're going to have to get you back on. We're going to
Absolutely.
have to get you back on.
Absolutely.
I'm going to keep a very watchful eye on your socials to see, right,
Good.
what's he doing
Thank you.
now? Right,
Yeah.
Kirk, you need to come on and tell us about this, all right?
But
But
next time you're in the States, we got to get together. We got to do a collaborative project
we
or
are.
something.
I am planning on coming over, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got plans to come over, and I will be in Florida.
Okay.
So we will definitely hook up. 100% we'll hook up. That would be amazing. So, but I'll keep
That'd
you
be so
posted on
fun.
that one. We'll
Yeah.
chat offline about that.
Yeah.
But listen, because we'll definitely get you back, talk loads about this kind of stuff. But the two things that I gave you a bit of a heads up about,
Right.
I'm intrigued now then, because you said, oh yeah, I've got something for that.
Yeah.
Let's just kick off first of all with the 3 tips. So what, if somebody was going to do or wanted to do what you've done, they've watched this and they thought, I'd love a piece of what Kirk does.
Right.
What 3 tips would instantly come to your head for somebody who's maybe just starting out wanting to do this kind of stuff,
Right. So first of all, you got to learn the classic techniques. There's a foundation of knowledge you kind of need to have there. I find, even as a Photoshop trainer myself, that there's a lot of curriculum and training that goes into how to operate tools. There's a lot that goes into how to make Photoshop work, how to operate your camera. But what a lot of that doesn't do is teach you the why. So you got to know the why. You got to stand on the shoulders of the giants who came before us and know the stuff that they discovered, and learn that. So learn things like composition theory and color theory and just those classical techniques, and it's just going to make your work so much better. It's not fun necessarily, but it's very rewarding. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be to don't ever try to box yourself in your thinking of things. Don't think, well, this object is for this purpose only, and that's the only reason to do that. Just push the boundaries of stuff, and that applies to whether it's some stupid little LED ball that you get off Amazon or the way the tools work in Photoshop. You're not going to break the program. Just explore. Be adventurous with that. Never stop. And honestly, that leads into my third one: is never stop learning. Always find something new.
100%.
Challenge yourself to learn something constantly. It's, you and I both, we learn from each other from these summits and these conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't think you've already got your hands around everything. When you do that, you're stifling yourself. So never stop learning. So learn the fundamentals. Right. And then don't constrain yourselves to what you know with your tools. Push your tools to their boundary and never stop learning.
And the one you said earlier on, take time out. A fourth one, a bonus one. There we go.
Right. Unplug.
All right. So one other little thing then. So in all the time that you've been doing this, what would you say? I like that actually. I'll just bring this up here from Judy. Always keep that childlike imagination. Perfect. Never grow up.
Right. We all have that imagination in us. We all had it when we were kids. It's still there. You just got to unlock it.
Yeah. So what would you say then, in all the time you've been doing this, and this can be in anything, what would you say would be has been the best, most impactful, plus other adjectives, would you say is the best advice that you've been given?
So it leads right into the ones that I just like. And honestly, it was from Burt Monroy back decades ago when I went to one of his original training things. I was just a young graphic artist then. And my company was like, hey, Burt Monroy's doing a Photoshop seminar in town. You should go and see what you can pick up from that. And I was like, sure, we'll do that. I don't know who Burt is, but I learned. And there is something there that he said that stuck with me. And that was just stay curious. Don't just stay curious, always be exploring, always being trying to use things like other people don't think to use them. Don't I mean, follow the instructions to know how to use it, but then throw those out and find other ways to use it. Just stay
Yeah.
curious. That's what I
And
learned
if
from
it's if
Bert.
yeah, and if yeah, wise words from the godfather of Photoshop. Absolutely, yeah.
Yes,
We've had Bert's been on here twice, and he's such a lovely fella. Bert, and the first
he
time he
is.
did it, I was asking him all these questions about growing up and blah blah blah. And when I got him on the second time, he says, "Right, I'll come on the second time. We're just going to do teaching. Don't ask me any of that kind of boring stuff. I don't want to tell people about me. Let's just teach." I was like, "Okay."
Okay.
And sure enough,
He's
he went for an hour and a bit
yeah,
solid, and he could have just kept on going. He's
he
just
can,
incredible.
man. Just the depth of
He's
knowledge that
amazing.
man has. It's
Absolutely
amazing.
amazing. But Kirk, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I am going to
Me
kind of,
too.
I'm going to call it now because I want you to come back on.
I will.
I could genuinely sit here and go through more stuff with you. You're so easy to talk to,
Aw,
and your work is, and it's just, like I said, it's inspiring. I want to go out and
thank
I want
you.
to get my camera on and do stuff. And there's people in there
Good,
already saying they want to do stuff, which is lovely.
good, good.
I
That's
forgot
my
to
whole
bring this on.
goal. Just
This is your
inspire. Go.
one
Have
of
fun.
your two Instagram handles
Yes.
there. So if you're not following Kirk, keep an eye on him there at @the.pixel_pro. There is another one,
Right.
and I'll put all the details of those again
Yep.
in the blog post tomorrow when this recording is fully up and what have you. So that'll all be there. Everything that you've mentioned. Also, you mentioned about some bloke right at the very, very start, some lighting guy. If you could let me know in Messenger who that is, and I'll put a link into
I
that as
will.
well, so people can check that out. That would be great.
I
Although
will.
always good places to have, always good to have more people to look for. Um,
Yeah.
but look, before we close, look here, John's just dived in. Super session. Thank you. My friend
Thank you.
Norman has just put a fascinating session. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to the summit. So
Looking forward to seeing you there.
wonderful stuff. Yeah, and it'll be here before you know it. Can't
Yes,
wait.
I know.
Looking
I
forward
gotta
to
finish
it.
stuff up for it.
Yeah. Well, same here. Same here. It's always last
Yeah,
minute. Do you know what I mean? But I
it
always seem
is.
to have my best ideas last minute. It's just weird. But there you go. Kirk, you are an absolute star. Thoroughly
Oh,
enjoyed catching up. I will
thank you.
definitely see you in person when I'm over, and we're going to
Oh,
keep
I
in
hope
touch.
so.
But I'm so pleased you did this, mate. And clearly everybody in the
Thank you.
chat room is as well. So
Thank you,
love it.
everybody.
You are a top fella. Thank you very much. For
Hey,
this. I'm going to play
thanks.
your promo again before we go off. So.
Yay!
So don't disappear, by the way. You'll see all things
I won't.
happening. You'll see the screen go black. Stay there
Sure.
because we'll catch
I'm
up
here.
with you in the green room. Judy, I've got to put Judy's comments up here. Fantastic session as always. Thank you, Glenn and Kirk and Lee.
Thank you.
Superb live. And they're going to keep on coming. I know they are. Kirk, top man. I'll see you in the green room very shortly. All right. I'll mute you now so you can do whatever you want. Oh man, did I enjoy that? That has flown by. Hour and 7 minutes. Zoom, gone. But how cool is that? Loads of stuff that I want to. God, I've just got so many ideas. I'm gonna go onto Amazon now, just see what I can find. Random things that I can find, just have a play with. But really, really glad Kirk came on. And I'm really glad to see that so many of you in the chat room enjoying that as well, unsurprisingly. But I will play out with Kirk's promo just before we close off. But just as a wrap up, just to remind you again, we've mentioned it a few times, the Photoshop Creativity Virtual Summit is coming up this month. Dave Cross's baby that he does such an incredible job. Just him and his wife, Marlene, putting these together just blows me away. They set the standard for how events should be done. They really, really do. You've got Kirk's link, which I shall add in so you can see all Kirk's stuff as well. But there's my link. Doesn't matter which one you use. I'm sure Kirk's happy. I'm happy if you use his. He's happy if you use mine. It doesn't really matter. So there's the virtual summit. The other thing to mention, oh yeah, the video. Don't forget to check out the video, the new one there. If you've not seen or used content-aware scale, which is hidden down in those Photoshop menus there, you might be surprised at what you can do with that. It is quite a powerful bit of kit. And there's one thing I wanted to mention, kind of, which I didn't mention right at the start, and it's going to sound really kind of cryptic, all right? But I think in this whole industry, there's one thing missing. Genuinely think there's one thing missing. We have social media and all that kind of stuff, but I think there is a real... We're missing a proper community, proper photography community, a safe space for photographers, like-minded people to hang out. So put your social media aside, a special place where people can hang out and talk about all kinds of stuff photography, where it's not about one person, it's about everybody and everybody helping everybody. Those of you who might remember years ago, before social media really got its teeth into things, forums. how good forums were. Do you know what I mean? The amount of support and help and teaching and whatever you could do. Imagine having that, also having live meetings as well, regular live meetings, in-person get-togethers, no matter what country you're in, teaching, all that kind of stuff, all together. Imagine having that. Keep an eye out, because in the next few weeks, certainly you're going to start to hear more about it, but it's something that I'm paying for that's being set up, which I want to set up to have a community, a photography community. And I'm inspired to do that because of how these have gone and how you folks who tune in regularly, how it just seems to be such a great environment. And I love it. I thrive on that. I really, really do. And I think we need it, because social media, it might have groups, but there's always somebody who dives in and says something that's just hurtful and not helpful and what have you. I intend to set something up. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes where it's going to be a safe space for photographers. And what I love about it is that we'll all be able to meet up wherever you are in the world. We will have chances to meet up. There'll be get-togethers. There'll be workshops. By you being part of that community, you just get involved in and you can just join in them. So keep an eye out for that. I think it's missing. So you'll hear more about that as time goes on. What else have I got to tell you? Oh, yeah. There we go. Cheeky not to. Come on, there you go. Press the button. There we go. Subscribe, which is Latin for follow, I understand. All right. So just click on that one there. And folks, thank you so much for joining me yet again. Well, do you know what? I don't mind throwing them in midweek every now and again. Sunday seems to be the day that we do most of them, but every now and again, I think it's great because we get people like Kirk in. So, let's just do it as and when. Just keep an eye on the socials. Get hold of the newsletter if you're not already, my sometimes twice monthly newsletter. But I shall see you. There's not one this coming Sunday, but there will be a live next Sunday. So also about sort of 10 days time. Keep it on the socials. There'll be a pre-record out in the meantime as well. But folks, from me, from Kirk, thank you so much for joining us this evening, this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm going to play out now with Kirk's promo because I can and I like it. See you next time.